ba 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 Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Olympics podcast. Not sponsored by NBC.
But sponsored by Pop Culture Redemption. I'm Jake.
Did you say?
Yeah, he stomped all over my intro.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
I love you.
Well, it's okay because I'm Jordan Summers and I'm here with German Harry Potter and discount Sean Spencer.
That's the highest compliment anyone has ever given
Wait.
me.
Why am I German Harry Potter?
Look at your glasses, bro.
These are not Harry Potter glasses.
I mean, they got the circles, though. It kind of got that
Circle.
circular shape. Discounts. I'm black. He's tan. I cannot believe you made that assumption.
How dare you?
That's great. I like that. I like discounts. I'll take that. That guy's got great hair. He's
That's
got great
part of
hair.
it. That was genuinely
He's got
part
great
of it.
hair. I appreciate that.
Hey, you heard about Pluto?
That's messed up, right? Well, welcome to Pop Culture Redemption. We're three dudes that love to have a good time and talk about Jesus and talk about culture all at the same time. So we're really glad that you're here to do that with us, hopefully, today. And we're here to help the church have a better vision about God's presence and work in popular culture. I made that into a little bit of a ringy tone. I kind of like that a little bit.
I'm gonna find that clip and make it my ringtone for you.
Pop culture. You kind of swoop into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we have a new episode that drops every other Tuesday, and today is the other Tuesday. So,
Is it kind of like the left Twix and the right Twix?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Which one's really better?
I guess
What's your stance? Are you a left Twixer or a right Twixer?
I don't eat Twix. I eat good candy like Reese's.
Shut your face.
Reese's is pretty good.
Yeah,
Twix isn't bad, though. It got a little crunch to it. I kind of like
It's
it.
got cookie in it.
Gave you cookie, got you cookie, man. That's what you should say every time you get a Twix. You eat half of it, you give me the other half, and then you say,
Gave you cookie, man.
I got you cookie,
Gave
man.
me cookie, got you cookie, man.
We're even.
Schmidt.
It would be really helpful for us if you could, as the audience, rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we've got another great episode for you today. So, what do we do before that? Before we start the rest of the episode, what do we do?
Play the theme song.
The theme song.
We have a theme song?
We have.
Would you like to hear it for the very first time?
It's a theme song. Remember? It's
a theme song, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear it for the first time ever?
Yes.
Here we go.
Pop Bears beats Battlestar.
Stay on target.
You can't handle the truth.
Stay on target.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
With great power comes great responsibility.
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
So what'd you think? Did you like the song?
It was mid.
Connor made that just for you.
It's just for you.
Just me.
Yeah, that's right. That's my love song to you, Jordan. Just for you. It's over 9,000 was just
What?
for you.
9,000?
That was just for you.
I loved it,
It's good.
especially that part.
Well, you know what else is good? This episode.
Jesus. Oh, yes.
And Jesus, which is, that's what we're here for.
Yes.
That's why we're having this conversation.
Yes.
And we're talking about the Olympics today.
Sure.
Has anyone been talking about the Olympics in the last couple weeks?
What's
Is it-
that?
Know what we're talking about here?
I think that's the thing with Percy Jackson.
Oh, the Olympian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yep.
Not gonna lie though, Disney Plus series, not bad.
Oh,
A lot better than the movie.
I need to watch that.
It's pretty good.
I feel like you should make something like 15 minutes and put it on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've thought about doing it for the TV shows I watch.
You should do that.
Do it.
That'd be good.
Do it.
Well, today we're going to talk about the Summer Olympics and everything revolving around the Summer Olympics, because there's definitely not been anything to talk about church and Summer Olympics wise.
Oh, no.
Nothing around the opening ceremonies.
Nobody had
controversial
any
at
issues.
all.
Everything was so smooth.
No issues, no problem. Not at all. This isn't like a huge deal in our culture right now. Olympics, NBC, people watching it at night, cheering on their favorite athletes or their favorite sporting events, screaming USA at your TV, watching a bunch of sports you never watch. Because I don't know about you all, but I've become an armchair expert with like all like Diving, I'm like, I know what they're doing. I know what's good. You know, I'm like, oh, little splash, that's good. And then they score like lower than someone who I thought had a bigger splash. I'm like, I have no idea what I don't know what's
is
happening.
splash a bad thing in diving?
Yeah, you want as little splash as possible.
Oh,
I think. Or you're watching like track and field, and I'm like, that person definitely won because their foot was over the line first. Nope, it's by torso. It's the first torso across the line. Yeah, they measure it by torso. Fun fact, track and field.
Huh.
so it works better to have a longer torso.
It works better to have your torso cross the line first. You've got to have any part of your... anyways. So it's like things like this that I'm watching shot put. I haven't seen anyone shot put since I was in middle school track and field.
Yep. Same.
And those
You
guys
were
are
in
like...
track and field?
Yeah.
You were in track and field?
It was a requirement that all the school did it. It was actually before middle school. This was
What the heck?
elementary school. It was Texas.
That's fair.
That's pretty on brand for Texas.
I actually, shot put was the one thing that I was decent at.
So you ready for summer basketball? When I was in middle school, the summer team I was playing on, the coach was like, everyone on this team is going to run track. He was like, you have to run an event in track. So I ran the like 400. It was the worst. I mean, actually, not really. 400 is not the worst. In my opinion, the 200 is the worst because the 200 is a sprint the whole time and it's longer than the 100. The 100, you sprint for 10 seconds, it's over. Not 10 seconds. I ran it in like 15. People on TV ran it in under 10, but 200 is like you take that and then you do it the whole time. 400, you actually, I feel like, settle into a little bit of a jog and then you sprint towards the end. That's just my opinion. So you can get at me on our Pop Culture Instagram if you disagree, but that's where I'm at. So anyways,
I'm over here like 20 meters. That's not right. That's unjust. That's
Too far.
unfair.
It's too far.
It's wrong.
I mean, even
Too much.
100
But you know what?
meters. Is that really?
to you know what prevents, you know what can help prevent the armchair expert?
what?
Don't have arms.
Don't have
Stop it.
arms, or just buy a chair that doesn't have arms. So I remember very vividly my last meet in middle school. I ran. I don't remember. I think I ran the 200 or 400. I don't remember for sure. I ran and then I threw discus, and I'd like was just so careful when I was like throwing discus because I didn't want to throw it out of bounds. I just go so slow and not throw it very far at all. The last meet, I was like, the last throw of my last meet, I was like, screw it. I'm just going to try to throw it as far as I can. And I overspun and I absolutely chucked it the furthest I had, but it completely out of bounds, like right into the crowd of people watching, which discus is like a pretty heavy, like kind of thing. And I threw that thing really far. And my coach was so pumped. My coach was like, come back out next year and like bring that energy. Cause like, if you straighten that out, you can be a really good discus thrower. And the thing I thought when he said that was, I'm not doing this again. I'm done. I'm not doing track and field. I'm only here because the basketball coach made me be here. I'm not doing this again. All right. With that said, let's dive in really quick. Let's do maybe just real quick. What's your favorite summer Olympic sport that you've watched in the last couple weeks?
Oh, you had to tack on that last bit.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The favorite. Okay. Well,
Or what's your favorite summer Olympic sport?
my favorite summer Olympic sport is badminton.
Badminton. Yes.
Badminton.
Wait, what?
Badminton.
How is that different than badminton?
Because it's not a bad mitten. It's not a mitten that has holes in
Wait,
it.
is this? Have I been saying it wrong my entire life?
Most people do. You're not the only one. It's badminton.
It's all right. We've all been saying Wednesday wrong too. So
That's true.
Jake's brain just broke.
If you are here in person and just saw,
WEDNES.
I mean, I know how it's spelled.
I heard the dial-up tone.
The ear.
I heard that as I looked Jake in the eyes. It was there.
Oh,
Anyways,
sorry,
badminton.
Badminton, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. I played a ton of badminton when I was a kid. My whole family, like, because we had like, you know, the backyard sets. So my whole family would play. And my oldest brother is stupidly tall. He's, you know, compared to the rest of us, he's 6'4". And
So he just dominated.
he would have a racket in each hand and be and literally be on the field on the other side by himself. And the rest of us would be playing against him. It was actually really funny.
Yeah.
But
That's
like it was the
amazing.
one thing that like I was okay at, but I just liked doing it. Like it was just fun. I don't even think I ever like knew how points worked. I'm not sure if I'm confident I know how points work today, but I just liked hitting the birdie.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's fun.
How about you, Jake?
Well, this is the most that I've ever watched the Olympics, thanks to Connor, because he kept coming over to our house and saying, "We're gonna watch the Olympics." The favorite one I think I've watched was probably the long distance swimming. I thought that was fascinating. I was just impressed. But I also can't. I didn't get to see it, but I can't ignore the pistol sharpshooting. Just the Turkish guy that just came in and it was clearly he's an assassin, right?
Yeah.
He just needed something to do during the day before he left to go kill his mark. Clearly.
Turkey was like, we need to win this event. So you've been called out of retirement.
I'm like trying to imagine what a Turkish accent would be, and I can't imagine. I don't know what it is.
I don't know either. I feel like he's going to show up in the next Expendables movie. Like Expendables or Red or something like that.
The next Metal Gear Solid game or Call of Duty.
Yeah, John Wick or something like that. He'd be the next John Wick villain or something like that.
Yes.
I really like all the swimming events because I started swimming recently as part of my like workout at the Y. I was just like, I'm going to go swim. You know, that sounds like fun. Good workout. Swimming is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the Y pool is like, because the Olympic one is 50 meters, I think, down, and then 50 back. The Y, I'm pretty sure, is like 25 one way. And I do like 4 times, like, and I'm talking like half a lap. Like I'm talking 25 that way is 1, 25 the other way is 2, 3, 4, and I'm like in the middle of 5 trying not to drown while I'm trying to get to the other wall. Because I'm like, I am so tired right now. So I can really have a new appreciation for especially what Jake was talking about, the long distance swimming.
Because nobody touched Ledecky the entire time.
It's crazy. 1,500 meters. I was like, what? You're swimming for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. It
That's
was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So that was probably some of my favorite. I love watching the 100-meter dash. Obviously, that's really cool just to see people absolutely flying. I'm like, man, what is it like to be that fast? Can't even think that fast.
I can go that fast. I just need a golf cart.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, get me a jetpack or something. So what's really exciting is that the next Summer Olympics in 2028 is going to be in Los Angeles. So the USA gets to host the next Summer Olympics, which is very exciting. In the next 4 years, the US gets to host the World Cup and the Olympics, which is really, I'm pumped.
I did not know about the World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup. Well, actually, it's being co-hosted by Canada, United States, and Mexico. So
Canada's hosting.
No.
I know.
Anyways, with that said, we're hosting the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, and so I'm asking you. This year they added 3-on-3 basketball to the Summer Olympics, which seems like a pretty out there.
Does that mean we need to throw our hat in the ring for the next one?
Yeah, there you go. Pop Culture Redemption. We're gonna represent USA in 3-on-3 basketball. That would be be a bummer for the United States. Yeah. That would be a major bummer.
I mean, it might be an accurate representation of the U.S. though. Just 3 clowns going into the ring like.
Hey, I can hoop. I have to work on dunking though. I've never been able to dunk, so we'll get in the gym. We got 4 years to make it happen.
I've been dunking since I was little. Give me some Oreos and some milk, and we will go to town.
So, what obscure event would you like to see in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles?
I want to see competitive Monopoly.
Yes, please.
Nice.
Yes, please.
Or Connect 4.
Connect 4? The big one? Like get the big board?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you it's like a giant weight that you have to be strong enough to like drop in, carry it in. Or tic-tac-toe. That would be another good one.
That'd be good.
Like,
that would be good.
Rock, paper, scissors while we're at it.
Nothing like rock, paper, scissoring for a gold medal.
Jellyfish.
I mean, I feel like if we had competitive rock, paper, scissors, it would finally help the world figure out whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3 shoot.
True.
Okay.
I feel like Greedo and Han Solo would help that whole.
I have
okay.
I have a pop question for both of you.
Later.
I have a question for both of you regarding tic-tac-toe. Who goes first?
Who goes first? What?
In tic-tac-toe.
What's on second?
X's go first.
X's go first?
But who
What do you
decides
say?
who's X and O? No, X goes first.
X goes first?
Yeah.
Like that's an undisputed fact, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Who's telling you the O's are going first?
I'm not
It's
going to
called-
disclose his name because he has the ability to fire me.
Oh. I feel like you just outed him.
Maybe.
There you go. That's all fine.
He doesn't listen.
How about
O's
you?
go first?
No,
No.
His take was that it doesn't matter, and we looked it up. There's no universally agreed upon, but a lot of people go with the convention of X goes first. I've never heard of anything other than X goes first, so I'm like, this can't be like I can't. I was like very confused and concerned for
Jordan,
my entire life. Meaning,
thank you for using this platform to settle a disagreement you've had with a friend.
to confirmation bias.
Hey, listen, we're interested in finding out what is true and right in the world.
Oh my goodness.
And so we needed to clear that up.
Okay, well,
Jake, what are
I
you
want to
trying to
see
add to the
competitive
Olympics?
Lego building because I feel like I can
That would
actually
be a good one,
participate.
too.
That would be pretty cool.
I
I have a
I have a
I
friend
guess we're
that
not friends, but I have someone who I went to college with, and we weren't not friends, but I wouldn't say we're friends now, who he posts stuff on Facebook all the time of like crazy competitive Lego stuff that he
Yeah.
builds. It's pretty
well,
impressive.
I have a former employer who built the massive Lego Star Destroyer in 19 hours over the weekend. He got it on Friday, and by Sunday, when I was at his house, it was done.
Is that an impressive feat?
That thing's like 7,000 pieces.
I feel like I could do that in like an hour.
No,
I'm just kidding. It's impressive.
I'll hurt you.
I think for me, I'd love to see. Have you all know the YouTube channel Dude Perfect?
Yes.
Yeah.
So have you seen their all sports battle?
No.
So they'll go out on a
Oh,
golf
yeah.
course and they'll have different like balls, rackets, and stuff from different sports,
I remember this.
and they'll play like 3 holes of golf, but they can only use each sport once. So it's like they've got like a kickball and a volleyball and a tennis racket and hockey stick and like a Nerf football, or whatever, and they can only throw each one once.
Okay, so my question, being somebody that has not watched this video, how do you get the bigger ball in the hole?
So once you're on the green, then they use like hockey. They use a hockey ball and a hockey stick. Like if you're playing like hockey, not in a rink, but
Like
on
field
like
hockey.
the concrete. Or yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, field hockey, something like that. Or they use a pool stick and a pool ball, and they like line it up on the green and put it in. I was like, that would be kind of fun. I think that'd be kind of cool to see at the Summer Olympics in 2028. So listen
That'd be
to
nice.
us, Olympic Committee.
We know
International
we know
Olympic
you're
Committee.
listening.
We don't have a bribe to give you, but you could turn a
Do
new
it
leaf
anyway.
and not take bribes, and then we can make.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So we're gonna transition a little bit into more of the conversation around Jesus and the Olympics and the church. But first, we're gonna take a break. All right, so welcome back. The question that I'd like to pose first, since we're talking about the Olympics and we're watching all these competitions, and we've watched them. By the time this podcast airs, it will be over. We're recording this a few days before the closing ceremonies. We've watched these Olympic competitions, the sports. I think my question is that I think would be beneficial for us to have a conversation about is how should Christians or the church healthily relate to and practice sports and competition? How do you do that well? Because there's probably ways we can do it well, and there's probably ways we do it not so well. What does that look like?
I can go first because I think mine's shorter. Treat your competitors like people, not obstacles.
Mm.
I
That's
feel
it?
like that needs no explanation.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I feel like we do this not just in sports. We do this everywhere. How many times as the barista at Starbucks I was treated like just a machine that got people their order, instead of an actual human being. My wife finds it annoying because I will talk to the people in the drive-thru like they're human beings rather than just like, I need this, and that. Here's my money. Take it and go. Like, we need to see other people as other people. As other people with their own stories, with their own passions, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, their own good and bad days. And I think that can result in many different ways. I think that that results in not being a sore winner and rubbing it in people's faces because, again, they're not obstacles. They're people you're essentially playing a game with. But yeah, that's my thing.
Whenever it comes to competition, I always get stuck in the question, why are we competing? Like why? Like, what is the purpose of competing here?
Mm.
Because I can never get to the end of that question without pride getting involved.
Mm.
Like that seems to be a really consistent thing. As far as like I can detect and notice in my own understanding of competitiveness, I have a hard time of going from beginning to end, going through competitiveness as a concept without pride somehow being involved.
Mm.
And so like I've always struggled with the idea of competitiveness because of that. Because I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to think about this. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know what, Jordan? I struggle with it more.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
I don't struggle with it all. I mean, I feel like if there was a award for humility, I would win it every time.
Wow. Wow.
I think you're onto something there too. I think when we are competing, when I'm competing, I think oftentimes I'm competing because I want to improve my value. Like I want to improve myself. Like it's going to help. It's going to make me feel better about myself because I'm better than somebody else. And that's comparison, right? Like an envy to a certain extent. And so it's important for us to recognize that, like what you're talking about. And I feel that, and I also don't exactly know where that line is oftentimes. Because you think about the Bible talks about one, like running the race marked out for us because we have a great cloud of witnesses that are cheering us on. So that's very much, we're actually running a race, and there's people that are, and it's a callback to in biblical times when the way that they did competition in sport is that final stretch. You're in the place where there's all the people that are there at the end, and they're like pumped, cheering the competitors on. And so, and there's the talks about the iron sharpens iron. So we have that piece in scripture about we need to be in some way where we're challenging one another. And I think competition is one way that can happen, but it's what's our attitude. And I think that's a little bit what you're going at too, and what Jake's talking about too. What's our attitude when we enter into that space? And for me, it's like what you're talking about with pride. I think that really helped clarify it for me about, am I doing this again to feel better about myself, to feel a sense of self-worth and accomplishment that I won't feel if I lose to this person? Because I think a lot of people probably come to the Olympics with really big goals, which is good. And you want to have a goal that you're shooting for. If that goal is to win and you don't win, how do you feel about your experience in the Olympics? Do you feel like it was a failure? Do you feel like you're a failure because you didn't accomplish that thing? You want to be better than everybody else and you weren't better than everybody else at that whatever thing that is?
Yeah.
Or do you feel a sort of sense of, you don't have to be super excited you didn't reach your goal, but there's a sense of reflection and humility.
Yeah.
And celebrating victories for others as well. Because the Bible talks about first shall be last, last shall be first. Like that's in scripture too. So do not, put your own needs ahead of the interest of others. Each of you should look to the interest of others, also in scripture.
Yeah. Well, it was like watching the women's 100 when, was it the women's 100? When the gal from St. Lucia pulled in the gold out of nowhere.
Yeah. The 100-meter dash.
Yeah. And watching the reaction on the lady that I'm terrible with names, but the lady that got second, who was like, they were like, I just remember watching all the talk before, listening to all the talk beforehand where they were like, she's the fastest woman in the world and she's going to come in and claim the gold. And then this lady comes from St. Lucia out of nowhere and just kills it getting the gold. And watching her reaction at first, I don't know. I feel like I saw one point before, like they cut it right before it looked like she was about to start crying. But there was still an aspect of celebration after that. Like, it's okay to be disappointed, but also, I mean, I feel like just even making it there is a testament of your own skills. I don't know. I think you have a point there with like, not trying to claim your identity to it. Maybe part of it's just we need to be able to see outside of our own story.
If we remove awards and placements from competition, is it still competition?
Ooh.
Like if there's no first place, second place, third place, if it's just you're just gonna go and try to do the very best that you could, but we take away first place and second place and gold medals and gold medal, gold. Like if we took away all of that, is it still competition?
I think at that point it depends on how you treat it.
I think it is. It just depends what you mean by competition. And that's what we're trying to parse out here too.
Yeah.
In one sense, you are still, if you're competing, if you're in a race with other people, you're still going to have the very real tangible comparison as far as how well am I doing compared to the person next to me.
Yeah. Ooh.
And in that way, it is a competition.
Yeah. It's like the long distance swim. Like whenever, like, because they celebrated Ledecky for getting gold, but they were also like really, like the interviewer and everybody was so excited about the third place. The other American woman who got her personal best by 5 seconds. I loved how much attention they gave to her. Like she didn't win, she got bronze, but there was so much celebration of the fact of like, dude, you just got your personal best.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I loved them celebrating that. That was so cool.
Yeah, like I'll play pickup basketball with some guys on a weeknight, and it's really fun, and I really enjoy it. And we keep score, and all that kind of stuff. But we rotate teams and. When it gets less enjoyable is when some of the guys get nasty, like because they want to win so bad and they get kind of nasty about it, And so I think a lot of it is like what we've been talking about. It's about your attitude. What's your purpose? Are you there to kind of enjoy the game, to enjoy the sport, to enjoy the practice of competing and pushing your body to the limit and testing your limits and seeing just comparatively, hey, how am I doing? Because we like to have those. It's like spiritual maturity. When you look at somebody in your church who has been following Jesus for a lot longer than you look at them and you go, I want to be where they're at. And so what do? You learn under them. You hopefully you ask. You figure out what do they do? How do they do this Jesus thing? How do they follow Jesus really well? And how do you develop your maturity and your relationship with Christ the way that they have, and you learn from them, and so that you can kind of improve, and so that can help us figure out how to get better.
Yeah. Well, and you also celebrate the achievements of others as well. Like if I'm following after somebody because I want to be like them, and treating it like that instead of I want to be the very best. Like I'm not going to care if someone else is also. Like I'm not going to take it as a threat if someone is also growing at the same rate or even faster than me, because I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. And if someone else is already achieving that, that's also worth celebrating.
So we're all in our mid to late 20s, or I'm 30.
You're 30.
But that's kind of where
just
we're
a
at.
really late 20.
For people who are maybe in a similar stage of life to us, or maybe a little bit beyond, who think either have kids or they're about to have kids, and they're thinking about, how do you got kids in athletics? How do we as believers raise up our children to practice competition well?
Everybody gets a participation trophy.
Yeah. I would reject that.
I would also.
Personally, but maybe I shouldn't.
No, okay. I think we should replace participation trophies with milestone trophies.
Ooh.
Like when
Please
you
unpack
reach
that.
when you reach a personal milestone, then that should be acknowledged.
Nice.
If that milestone is just you made it through your first year of whatever, then okay. But I think that milestone should, whatever the milestone is, we should probably ramp up those milestones based on what the milestone is. Somebody that like, congratulations, you got through your first thing of first year of soccer. Then I don't know, maybe a picture of you and your team and a diploma, or like not diploma, a certificate. Yeah, just a little thing that said, good job, you made it through your first year. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little, or maybe instead of a certificate, like a little wristband or something. But then when you're there and you're doing soccer and like you do some sort of feat that's like, oh, you got 10 goals in one game. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to gauge soccer. I feel like if you get 10 goals in one game, you're probably doing decently.
Yeah, or you're playing really, really young people
Yeah,
soccer.
Yeah.
And you're still really good, but you're like a 7-year-old child prodigy.
Yeah,
And all the other kids
exactly.
are like picking dandelions.
Yeah.
And watching clouds move across the sky, and you're over there.
Fun side.
In a messy corner of the net.
Fun side story tangent. I was in soccer in first grade, and like the Egyptian dance where you're like, you've got the hands out in opposite directions. You got one hand up top and one hand on the bottom, and it's like the open palm thing. Like, so you're doing that. I was doing that as a first grader because my team was doing awesome, and I'm the goalie at this time. We're playing a match, and the other teams, like, they're doing their thing. There's nobody around at the time, so I'm just doing this, and I'm doing the Egyptian dance because I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing great. Ball comes and hits my shin and bounces off.
Nice.
And I deflected it without paying attention. I felt great in that moment.
Nailed it.
I was definitely the kid in right field in kids baseball that was just had my face in the ground looking for 4-leaf clovers.
Free snow cone. You get a free snow cone at the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's a Brian Regan stupid in school. If you don't know what that's from,
That was
look it
B.
up.
That was B.
Or Little League Baseball, Brian Regan.
No, I like
search
your
that.
idea there because I feel like we need to treat life that way, and start
Well, we do.
But like, I'm like, sorry, I mean more like faith, like remembering the big milestones in our lives that help. Like when I look back, I know there are very specific times in my life where I can look back at my life and go, man, after that moment, my life was never the same again. And if we were to help each other recognize that in each other's lives, then we could also be learning how to celebrate our own achievements as well. And I feel like at that point, man, I don't need a certificate or a trophy or a ribbon or whatever to celebrate that I've gotten better.
We just need Xbox 360 achievements or trophies like PlayStation. Well,
I don't know.
Probably
I
not
don't
that
know.
one.
Probably not that one. Maybe.
I was just thinking about all the Halo.
I appreciate.
ones.
Well, I appreciate the energy, and I appreciate the reference. That is not one of the medals, though.
For soccer.
Well, especially for soccer. But I mean, if we just need like those Xbox achievements, like anytime we have a big milestone or like a big achievement in life, it just pops up on the bottom of our vision.
No, that's good. And to tie those achievements to things that are good and that are personal, right? Not that are in comparison to others necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's value in direct comparison too, because again, you understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and that's important.
I think there's a
And I
difference.
think you recognize the gifts and the strengths of other people too, and you recognize your own gifts and strengths by looking around and going, what am I good at compared to other people? What am I not? Oh, that person's really good at that. I'm not very good at that. And you can celebrate that in them. You can recognize that in you and move on. Like it doesn't have to be this huge issue, but to have that, I think is important.
So it sounds like we need to help people recognize the difference between comparison and jealousy.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I think too, as the church, right? Even if you don't have kids, if you're in a church, hopefully you're a part of and you're influencing the next generation of people, regardless of if they're your kids or, hey, guess what? We're all part of the family of believers. So you still have a responsibility to help in the discipleship of the next generation, that the faith can get passed on to the next, is to
We
consider
are family. I am teaching kids ministry.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you're in kids
Nice.
ministry, we pray a special prayer for you.
Yes.
And your
Yes.
sanity. Thanks for doing the Lord's
And your
work.
coffee bill.
Yes. There you go. I think it's important that everyone knows, but kids, especially as you grow up, that their worth is not tied in with how well or not well they play a certain sport, and that the sport is for their enjoyment. It's not for your enjoyment as the parent. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we have a lot of parents that find their value in their kids'
You
performance
can't live through your kids.
on the field or like in anything else. You know, if it's your kid's really good at music or your kid's good at whatever, like you shouldn't be finding your value in like how your kid performs.
Mm-hmm.
Because then when they don't perform well, all of a sudden you're going to have an issue in that relationship and you're going to push them in a way that you should not be pushing them.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy and helpful.
Yeah.
So that's also good to be self-aware of,
Yeah.
I think.
This is also coming from 3 dudes with no kids. So we also don't know how difficult it is or how easy it is to fall into that trap.
For sure.
But maybe the important part then is living in community so that you can call your brothers and sisters out whenever you recognize it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Sometimes from the outside, it can be a little clearer.
Mhm.
You can see it. You'd be like, oh, that didn't look good. You know, you hear something, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that.
If your value for yourself is dependent on how great of a dad you are or are not,
Ooh.
that's concerning.
Oh,
I
Like,
would
your
just say
value
if-
should not change based on whether or not you're doing well as a parent. Your
Yeah.
value is consistent in Christ. You are valuable, period, end of story. And you should do your best to be a great parent to the glory of God because you love your kids
Yeah.
and you want the best for them. Not for you, for them.
yes. Bear
But-
preach. Bear preach. So let's move in maybe a less controversial area and talk about the opening ceremonies.
Oh, a less controversial area. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So I don't know if you've heard, but in the opening ceremonies a few weeks ago, they had some interesting depictions in their art and then their acting out of specifically the Last Supper and a couple other things that were a little edgy. There was a kind of a love triangle thing that was kind of awkward and made me feel a little. I want to talk about the Last Supper. I don't really want to talk about that part because the church, at least in my church context, this has been discussed a lot in the last couple weeks about the Last Supper and that depiction. And I can't believe they depicted it that way. And that's, not, that's sacrilegious, some have said. And that's, mocking Christianity and all these things. I'm just saying what's been said. I'm not saying this is what I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for us to have a little bit of a conversation since it's part of the Olympics and it's part of culture. How should we, as the church, engage in conversations like the one surrounding the opening ceremonies and the Last Supper? How do we engage in those conversations well?
Can I ask a question?
You can.
How did Jesus respond when the Pharisees were mocking him and one of them, while he was blindfolded, punched him and said, "Who hit you that time, prophet?"
he kept his trap shut.
Anyone know the song 10,000 Angels?
No.
The song goes, "He could have called 10,000 angels to destroy the world and set him free."
Yeah.
I always think about that. Like, I don't know. It's a song that I heard once and I'm like, that's an interesting point. Like, he legit could have just
Could have called down legions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
He
You know,
did
I
not
just-
respond with hatred
he didn't respond with hatred.
and
He didn't respond
retaliation.
or violence.
Yep.
Or anger. He didn't respond with anger.
Yep.
And he didn't even stop it. He didn't stop the mocking. He didn't even attempt to. He took it. And he
Yeah.
didn't respond to evil with evil. He responded to evil by letting it do its worst to prove that evil has no power, especially over him.
When he gets crucified, he's saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do."
Mm-hmm.
And he lives out the call to love your enemies and to pray for those who persecute you. It's not like a backhanded prayer.
No.
Lord, forgive them, for they are such sinners, and
And send them to hell.
Lord, forgive them. They're stupid anyway.
they're stupid anyway.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
more like Moses and the Lord's conversations back in Exodus.
He assumes the best in
Yes.
those that are crucifying him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, they don't know what they're doing. Forgive them.
I think it says more about the people who are complaining than it does about the people doing the action. Because here's the deal. The Last Supper painting, not in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's Da Vinci. It's like, it's not Jesus. They're made like I
Wait,
think we
wait. Jesus wasn't
Like the
wasn't
Last Supper.
European.
no, he wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
shocking, right?
Wow. Oh. Not according to the Last
Yeah,
Supper.
I just I just had the thought while one of you was talking. Sorry, I have so many tabs open. But I think that this kind of shows how we tend to make altars out of things that are not Jesus. Because they're making fun of a painting, not the actual like ideal of what the Last Supper stood for. They said, like, as far as I could tell, there was no actual statement about how they were mocking the actual story of the Last Supper. They were just recreating a painting. And this has happened in TV, in movies, and nobody bats an eye. This is not an issue.
But here's the thing. Even if they were mocking, even if that absolutely was an attack on Christianity, if it was a direct attack on Christian ideals and morals and understanding,
Why are we surprised?
who cares? Like,
It's not like this is a new thing.
It's the world.
And this is not persecution. We have our brothers and sisters in Christ across the ocean who are getting brutally murdered for their faith.
but even if it was
And we get made fun
persecution,
of on TV.
but yeah. Well, even if it was persecution, the response to any kind of persecution isn't to treat other human beings, other image bearers, as evil demons that God wants you to kill or wants you to vanquish, and you know, what's really astounding to me is how is it that we're at a place where people just directly ignore Jesus's like very obvious teachings so much? Like, so many people in the church who it's like they've never read the Gospels even a single time.
So I just started reading Dallas Willard's Spirit of Disciplines, which is fantastic, by the way. I'm only in like chapter 2. And he was talking about how what he sees as the problem with... I know. But what he gave an example of people who look up to like a famous baseball player. So, you know, a famous baseball player holds the bat a certain way. And so these kids hold the bat the certain way during the game. They, you know, have a specific bubble gum they chew or a shoe that, like, you know, everybody's got to have Nikes if you want to be a good athlete. But here's the thing. They keep expecting to have the same level of success as that famous baseball player by only doing the things he does during the game. We have this understanding, or a lot of American church has been taught this understanding that, well, Jesus was the Son of God, right? So there's no point in us trying to be like him because he was just perfect and there's no way we can ever be. When that's not what he came to do. He came to show us how to live our lives, how to structure, how to do the practicing that got that baseball player to be where he was. And so you have a lot of people that have grown up in church. I mean, I feel like at the church I grew up at taught the same thing. Jesus is God. Jesus is perfect. So all those miracles that Jesus did, yeah, that's just because Jesus was Jesus. You can't actually do that. You can't treat people with that same level of love and forgiveness because he was perfect and you'll never be. So why do you even try? Which is wrong. Jesus came to show us how to live our lives. And we can't give up on like, oh, well, I'll never be that love. I'll never be that forgiving. I'll never be that loving. I'll never be able to give that much grace to people because I'm not Jesus. Bruh, our job is to live our lives to become more like him. Of course, you can't do it today. You might be able to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now.
I once again, it's like people have not read, really at this point now, it's like, haven't read the Bible or haven't read the New Testament because, okay, let's even, I agree with you that like, Jesus came to show us how it's done and that it is something that we are called to live into. But even if you were to make the argument, that, oh, Jesus is Jesus, he was perfect, he was God, or he is perfect, he is God, you know, of course, like he can do it. Like I shouldn't be expected because I'm not God, I'm not perfect, I'm never going to be able to yada, yada, yada. Even if that's the case, doesn't matter because Paul says, hey, you Christians,
do it.
You can't make the excuse of Jesus was perfect, And because Jesus is perfect, like I don't have to act like Jesus. I don't have to be like, I don't have to become like him. But Paul says otherwise. Paul talks about the fruit of the Spirit. Talks about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Which, by the way, how many of those things that I just named have been visible and seen with the people who have been responding negatively to the French depiction of Da Vinci's painting?
Yeah. I think just what we're talking about, Jesus says, whoever has my commands and obeys them,
Yes.
he is the one who loves me.
Mm-hmm.
If you love Jesus, you'll do what he says. And these are things that Jesus has, like Jesus says, love your enemies.
Yeah.
Not fight back against your enemies, right? He says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And a lot of the commentary, especially on social media, but even in conversations I've been in, I think that it's easy to miss that. And I think a big piece of it is, I heard this on the Holy Post podcast. I think it was Sky Jitani that was talking about this, is we don't need to defend Jesus. You know, like I've heard a lot of people say stuff like, well, you know, you got to stick up for Jesus, got to stick up for the faith, you know? And it's kind of like, okay, what do you mean by that? And if stick up for the faith means fight back against those who persecute or push against the faith, then you're missing the point of the faith. You're missing the point. You're taking the attack that is on you because you feel attacked. It's you. You feel attacked. It's not, Jesus doesn't need to be defended. It's you who feel the need to be defended. It's your way of life. It's your belief system that you feel is under attack. And I get that. That's totally valid. How you respond to that makes all the difference between whether you're responding in a way that honors the Lord and you do what he says, or you retaliate and you lash out and you say things in anger. And the other piece is the depiction of the Last Supper where people are so angry. I'm like, who do you think that Jesus would hang out with today? Who are the prostitutes and the tax collectors of our society today?
The French.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. The French. You're right. Yes, the French. No, it's the kind of people that people are angry about being in that depiction of the Last Supper. And I'm like, that's the people who we're called to love and to reach out to with the love of Jesus, with the message of the gospel. So either way, like we need to respond in love.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some truth, there's some conversations you can have with people, but it has to be out of love, because if you ain't got love, you ain't got nothing.
I think there's a scripture about that somewhere.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, something about that.
Something that's spoken in like every wedding ever.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I throw some more scripture at you?
I mean, you can.
But like, yeah.
So it's one that's taken really, really out of context, though.
Oh,
because I knew you were pulling this up. I knew that you went for your tablet, and I knew exactly.
All right, listen to this, because everybody knows the one little part in it, but it's 1 Peter 3. It says, "Instead, you must worship Christ as Lord of your life," which nobody ever mentions that part of the verse. And if someone asks about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it. Some translations say defend it. Nobody ever looks at the next verse, but do this in a gentle and respectful way. Keep your conscience clear. Then if people speak against you, they will be ashamed when they see what a good life you live because you belong to Christ.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's important to be mindful of. I think it's good to have these conversations. I don't think we're saying don't have these conversations. What we're saying is, what's the attitude and posture of your heart as you come into these conversations? Is it anger, aggression, hatred, that kind of stuff? Because if that's what's fueling your response, and it's not like Paul talks about, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful and beneficial for building others up according to their needs, right? If it's not for that, then we're missing it. So we just got to be mindful of that.
I think we as believers need to do. I think we need to create a discipline for ourselves of asking ourselves the question, how is the world supposed to know that I'm a Christian?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because Jesus already answered that question for us, that they will know we are Christians by our love.
By our love, they will know we are Christians by our love. We're all musicians and we can sing really well normally.
In the spirit.
We will
So good.
get demonetized.
I think that song might
It's
be
an
old
old
enough. It
enough
might be
song.
public
We're
domain at
fine.
this
That's
point.
true.
Might be public
yeah,
domain.
that might be.
We'd have to be monetized to be demonetized.
You know what's not public domain?
That's fair.
Stop it. No, don't sing it again.
Making my way downtown.
Making my way downtown.
I don't know why I think
Why
of
do
that
I
song.
hang out with both of you?
Because you don't have a choice.
That's fair.
We kept singing Boom Boom Pow before the boom boom boom. Gotta get that boom,
Priscilla
boom
was
before
just
the
like, hey,
podcast.
you're going to be best friends with Jordan. And then Jordan was like, hey, you're going to be best friends with Connor.
It's
And I
true.
didn't have a choice.
Yeah. It's really funny because Priscilla told me, you're either going to get along really well with Jake or you two are going to hate each other.
And I've hated
And
you every
today-
day since.
Today, I finally got Jake to hate me. Took
But
years.
if Jake tells you
I
he
find-
hates you, that means he loves you.
It's
That's
true. My
true.
love language is hate.
There you go. We'll let you chew on that, audience, as we take a break. Okay, welcome back to part 3. So we're gonna wrap it up on this tiny little conversation.
Just tiny.
Just a little,
Real small.
just a little conversation. I'm curious. I think it would be beneficial for us, the three of us, beneficial for me. It'd be beneficial for
Are you
me.
speaking in tongues?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Jordan, did you have an interpretation of that?
Yeah, my interpretation was Connor likes to make noises. that are fun.
A conversation I think would be beneficial is to talk about what's the difference between patriotism. Dang it.
You're doing great today.
Ouch. It's just killing me. Patriotism. Something I want to say, I won't say it. What's the difference between patriotism and nationalism? Because I think there is a difference, and I think it's important for the church to be aware of the difference. And we're going to...
We're going to shoot it to Jordan
Jake
because
and
Jordan
Jordan
has no idea what's going on.
The audience can't see this. Jordan and Jake were just vibing together for a second there because they were both swaying at the same time in the same way. It was like
It was great.
they were like ready to go. They
Look,
were
I'm
like,
just here to learn because I got no idea.
they're like
we're
we're
two.
gonna wreck Connor right now because he can't talk. We're gonna get him. Just wait. Got him. No, they were vibing. So, Jordan, would you like to take the audience on a journey?
Yeah. So first, I want to take a journey back to the 1800s.
Ooh.
Oh, this is going to take us a while to get back.
It's okay. Here, let me just jump cut. Boom, we're here. All right, so check it out. We're here in the 1800s. Nationalism. Let's talk about Russian nationalism for a second.
Okay.
Russian nationalism created styles of music that were all about hyping up how great Russia is and how much better it is than other places. And guess what? There were other countries that did this too. There were musicians and there were artists, like visual artists as well, in France, and there was French nationalism. And it was this competing and trying to prove yourself better, trying to prove that your country, your way of thinking, your people had it right, and other people needed to see you and conform to your nation's way of doing things. Like other people hearing Russian music and being like, oh, that's awesome, that's good stuff, is a boon and a win for Russian nationalism, because like, yeah, we're better. You want our stuff. You want what we have. And so that is nationalism on display. Nationalism has been around for a long time. I first learned about like specific older examples of nationalism in our music history class.
I was about to call you an ethnomusicologist, so.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I just did, is ethnomusicology. A little bit of history there for you. But today we have American nationalism and we have Christian nationalism. And I won't get into the weeds of all of that, but I want to throw out a couple of examples of here's nationalism and how it operates versus patriotism and how it operates. Here's your tweetable quotes, and I will say tweetable, not
Xable?
Xable. No, tweetable.
Whyable.
Zedable? It's edible and zedable. Anyway, okay. Nationalism tries to be the best. Patriotism. Patriotism.
God,
Man.
it's contagious.
It really is.
It's contagious.
Be gone with him.
Okay. Nationalism tries to be the best. Patriotism tries to do its best.
Ooh.
Nationalism demands its way. Patriotism presents its way.
This is the way.
Nationalism invades. Patriotism invites.
Ooh.
So nationalism has this you have to see that my way is better and you need to conform to me. You have to like clearly I am superior in my way and my way of thinking, and I demand that the world operates on my dime or like on my principles and is set in my way. And like honestly, the Cold War was two battling nationalisms.
Yeah.
Like it was US nationalism and Russian nationalism.
USSR.
Well, yes, thank you. USSR nationalism that were at odds with each other. And that was the entirety of the Cold War that was the majority of the Cold War, I'll say. Now, patriotism. Patriotism is actually not only a good thing, it's healthy and it's necessary to have a functioning society and a functioning country nation, country. I get fuzzy on the details of the differences and nuances of those, but it's necessary because if everybody is entirely against and hates the country, that leads to violent revolution. It leads to anger and bitterness. It does not lead to flourishing human society. It doesn't. When people have a healthy vision and understanding and they see their country or nation, their people, when they see like this group that they are a part of and the system they're a part of, and they see what's good in it and they can name it, and they see what's maybe not so good in it and they can name it, and they want to see this made better and are willing to be humble and listen to other people, other places, and see, oh, they've got some good stuff. They've got some good ideas. Hey, I want to take some of that. I want to make it a part of what we're doing. I want to take, your concepts of this thing or that, here's a great technology that you have. And, I'd like to make that a part of our society because I see how that's benefiting people, how that is helping and making, the world a better place, making, it's helping human flourishing. Patriotism at its very best leads to human flourishing. Nationalism at its very worst leads to war. It's just like that's where it heads to.
That kind of sounds like the difference between how people have been interacting with the opening ceremonies. The nationalists are the ones saying, how dare you make fun of me? You need to do things our way. And the patriots are like, this is all fine. We're celebrating, like, this is the French being the French, and we can celebrate what we want to. Like, every single word you were talking about patriotism, I'm like, this is just the kingdom of heaven. Like, this is what we're supposed to do as the kingdom, like what Paul calls citizens of heaven, is for the betterment and flourishing of others, not how a lot of American church treats it, which is, we know that we're right. You're a bunch of sinners and you need to do things our way.
Yeah, and I think that's important too to remember when we're talking about. I think that's a really great difference, Jordan, what you walked us through between nationalism and patriotism, is to remember what you're talking about, citizen of heaven. as believers, and this is more talking about like Christian nationalism, where is your allegiance? Where is your citizenship? We had a guy that is a missionary and leads a pretty big mission organization for the Evangelical Covenant Church called Merge Ministries. And his name's Dale Lusk. He preached at our church about a month ago. And he was like, one of the things he talked about, he was like, so where do you think your United States citizenship falls comparatively to your citizenship in the kingdom of heaven? He was like, it's probably number 11, 12, maybe 13, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is citizenship in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
He's like, if it's not abundantly clear that your first citizenship and your overarching priority is to Jesus as your Lord and you are part of the kingdom of heaven, then you've got it backwards.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes that's where we can fall into that nationalistic tendency, is when our citizenship with whatever nation we're a part of becomes a root part of our identity that is above Jesus. And that's what happens.
I wonder if part of why people get caught up in I wonder if the people caught up in being more of the nationalist side really just shows what you're saying, their true identity, or how they value themselves. Because like we were talking about earlier, a lot of our country, like the people who grew up in church in our country, have just been taught that like, you're a Christian, this is what you believe. You don't need to read the Bible, just come to church on Sunday. And so there's just a lot of confusion. And so you end up just following whoever's voice is loudest. Like what you're talking about with all the musicology stuff, like people followed Russia because they liked what they were saying, or like the music they were writing. People followed France because they liked the music and the arts that France was creating. Like they didn't actually have their own identity. They were just following someone else's. We each need to walk in our faith having our own personal identity in Christ, rather than just following whatever name speaks the loudest. So whether it's like, oh, well, I'm a Lutheran. Okay. How? Besides just going to church on Sunday, how? What do you do that proves that this is your identity? What do you do that proves that not proves? That's a bad word. I don't mean to, I don't know. What shows it? What is the evidence of your faith, rather than just identifying with something else so you don't have to do anything yourself?
And I think because I think this is like walking along or driving on a road. Like there's ditches on both sides that we can fall on as we drive on this like patriotism road that we're saying, hey, it's good. It's good to be patriotic. It's good to be working for the flourishing of the place that you're in, right? That's definitely kingdom of heaven. That's what we're called to do as believers. We want to be involved. We're called to be involved, right? In the flourishing, the goodness, the reconciliation, all these different things, justice of where we're at, right? I think the one ditch is nationalism. I think the other ditch is the completely swearing off everything.
Nihilism.
Government. Yeah. Or just it's all bad. Like you can't, anything that's pro United States or anything that's pro whatever country you're in is all bad. Like you shouldn't identify at all. You should, you shouldn't vote, all this kind of stuff that I think some people fall in the opposite ditch because they're afraid of the nationalism ditch. They're like, I don't want to be there, so I'm going to go the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of, obviously, like anything in life, there's a lot of discernment that goes into that. What does that look like for you to walk that? But I think for me, just the Olympics and this kind of, it just kind of swells a lot of like positive vibes, especially at a time when like we're in election year. If you didn't know, it's been a little divided.
There's been an election.
We're a little divided. There will be. There will be one. Yeah. It's a little divided. And the Olympics have been kind of a nice unifying thing. Like,
it's been a good break from all the bad news.
And I enjoy it. Like, just, it's real fun to cheer on the athletes and to celebrate the ones that win from other countries. But, when the USA wins or they're competing, you're always like, come on, go USA. This is kind of a rallying, kind of a unifying.
Is that what it feels like to like a sport?
Yeah. And the ratings, like the TV ratings for this have been off the chart, like multiplied better than it has in the past. And I think that's a sign that people really long for those things that unify us. And I think something like the Olympics and patriotism is something that can unify us across different faith backgrounds or no faith. You know, hey, guess what? No faith is still faith. Believing in nothing is still believing in something.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Oh.
So you're
like,
a Sith?
You're like, wait.
Good.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is the secret Sith. So,
No, I agree with that.
Jordan, would you like to put a bow on this
Yes,
patriotism, nationalism conversation?
Yeah. I lost my train of thought though. So hold on, let me get it back.
Okay.
So I think a healthy approach to the I guess we can say Christian patriotism or maybe American Christian patriotism, like trying to live into our identity as followers of Jesus, as those redeemed by Christ. There's the passage of obeying the governing authorities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the governing authorities in America is we the people. So to obey Jesus' teaching is to be called into the authority that we have been given as American citizens to engage in the American project, to engage in our country and what it is and what it means. If we are, and like so some of us are going to cringe at me saying this, but we like to just completely disengage from politics is, according to Scripture, unfaithful to Christ. However, we also do have to avoid driving into the ditch of Christian nationalism and thinking that, our way is the complete superiority way and we have to, but we do have a responsibility as American citizens because of how our country is set up and because of the position we are in, right? We have influence and we have to be careful about what that means and how we use it. And we have to, the way to do that well is to seek obedience to Jesus. And you can only really obey Jesus is if you know him and you are spending time with him and you love him more than you love anything else.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I mean, how dare you at me like that? But that's good stuff.
Yeah. Wait, you mean we gotta
vote,
pray, and read the Bible and stuff to learn more about Jesus?
That's a good way to do it.
That is the start of doing it.
It's a really good way to do it.
Wow, we got to be in community with other believers.
That's also another
and push one another.
Yeah, and we got to
be more faithful to Jesus.
We got to cut out the things that take us away from Jesus.
Yes.
What a
concept. Wow. I could use a little fuel myself.
I tell you what, all use a little Jesus.
Well, hey, I think that's a good place to stop. So, hey, listen, audience, if you got something to add, you'd like to add to this conversation, get at us, man. Hit us up on Instagram or check out our Patreon and you can message us there.
You can leave a comment on this episode.
Wow, that'd be great.
On Spotify and YouTube.
That'd be great. That'd be helpful. So, because again, we're just trying to have a conversation about how we can all grow together in our faithfulness to Jesus as we engage with pop culture. So, if you can help us with that, that'd be great. If you disagree with us on something, let us know. That's how we get better. Please. So let us know.
Yeah, because we're not competing unless it's with ourselves. Full circle.
We're just trying to grow,
Yeah.
We're just all trying to grow. So I think that's what I got. Anybody else got anything you want to say before we're out of here? Nope. That silence means no. That silence means no. Hey, we'll be back in 2 weeks on this podcast feed. But until next time, remember, God is at work, even in pop culture.
Even in pop culture!